welcome to the SVG-TV news for Thursday, March 4th. I'm Khalil Cato with the details. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Cuthbert Knight, has come out in defense of the management of the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center, criticized for the COVID-19 outbreak at the facility. At a news conference yesterday, the Public Service Union, PSU, claimed that the outbreak could have been avoided if the concerns raised in several letters to the Permanent Secretary were addressed, including a lack of sanitization stations, masks, and personal protective gear for the workers at the facility. In a telephone interview with SVG-TV News, Permanent Secretary Knight said he was not privy to the claims made by the PSU at yesterday's news conference. However, he heard about some of them from us and other persons. On the matter of personal protective gear, PPE, and masks, Knight said the ministry ensures that PPEs and masks are provided to all healthcare facilities across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Environment is a very responsible ministry, and we have acted responsibly in terms of our response to COVID, nationally and at all of our health institutions. We have done that, and mental health is no exception. What I can say to you, everything that you have said there, I don't know what those things are about. They're totally untruth, and I'm saying I'm not commenting on those. I don't know what was said, but I heard you. But I can tell you that we have put in place, not only at mental health, at all of our health facilities, proper protocols to respond to COVID-19, whether it is screening persons, quarantining, isolating. We have done that. We have also supplied all of our institutions with the necessary PPEs which they need to be safe when they're responding to COVID-19, whether they're masks, face shields, gloves, gowns, etc. We have provided those things. We have responded in a very bold way, and we have put in place all the necessary protocols which are required to keep our people safe.
PS Knight, however, noted that the allocation of the PPEs to staff falls on the managers of the various healthcare facilities and expressed confidence in the management of the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center to look after the welfare of staff and patients.
All of the facilities have managers, all of the facilities have supervisors, and the managers who manage the facility will take the lead at that facility. And I can say to you, we provide PPEs, and all of the staff are provided with PPEs. It will be useless, senseless, for us to provide PPEs to institutions and they're not filtering down to the staff. And I want to say here, I have every confidence in the management of the mental health center. I do. Every confidence. And they have done an awesome job to get that place ready.
On the issue of limited staffing at the Glad Tidings campsite in Queens Drive, where the COVID-19 patients of the mental health facility are being looked after, Knight said that the ministry has ensured that all its facilities are properly staffed and has even hired additional personnel to guarantee this.
We ensure we have the requisite staffing to take care of our patients in our facilities, whether they are mental health, whether they are at Louis Ponette Home, etc. And as such, we will not leave our facilities to operate in a way where we cannot provide the service which are required in any facility. We will not do that. We have had tremendous support from the state in terms of the provision of healthcare personnel to respond to COVID. And we have had a sizable increase in the number of staffing to respond to COVID-19.
The PS added that he had received and responded to correspondence sent to him by the PSU and even had meetings with the union.
We have had several meetings. We have received correspondence, yes, based on what you're asking. We have responded to those correspondence. Not only that, we have had several meetings regarding mental health. We have done that with that particular body.
At yesterday's news conference, the executive of the PSU expressed that they no longer have confidence in the management of the mental health facility, citing that the COVID-19 outbreak is a result of possible mismanagement. St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Wednesday reported one new positive COVID-19 case. This case is a contact of a known positive from 95 samples received and processed on Tuesday, March 2nd. The positivity rate for that day is 1.05%. 5 persons were cleared, bringing the total number of recoveries to 954. 684 cases remain active, and 8 persons with COVID-19 have died. 1,646 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The public is urged to use a mask, sanitize, physically distance, and get vaccinated to reduce the spread of COVID-19 here in the country. More than 400 Vincentians reportedly received their first dose of the Covishield AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine yesterday at the Victoria Park, as the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment launched the National Vaccination Deployment Campaign. The vaccination exercise continued today at the Victoria Park. However, there was a smaller turnout in the morning period compared to yesterday, which could be attributed to the rainy conditions this morning. Our news team spoke to several of the persons who braved the weather to take the jab.
I'm from Belmont. Right now I need to take the vaccine because the masks don't agree with me, especially the paper mask. When I put it on, my face gets swollen and stuff, so I know that I will have to take the vaccine, and that's why I decided it's the better way to go. I really had no fear. I mean, I saw that Prime Minister took it, so I mean, that was enough for me to, that was enough encouragement for me to go ahead and get mine.
I'm feeling okay. Well, to bring life back to normal, you know, hoping that soon we will end these things, you know. Yeah. Well, since it starts spreading, I should say, you know, start to end now.
Well, right now, my hand feels a little uncomfortable. Other than that, I'm fine. And before, I wasn't really thinking anything. Just that I was going to take the vaccine.
At the park yesterday, Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Prince, said that they have the human resources to carry out a mass rollout of the vaccination program, noting that he does not foresee any hiccups, but if there are any, they would address them immediately.
They're all ready. We've hired more nurses. We've taken on some retired nurses. We're trying to get some people on the set program who are deployed elsewhere to come into the program itself. We are ready. They are competent. They are trained. As a matter of fact, St. Vincent has had a very good immunization record. The system has been here for a long time. We have been immunizing people from day one. We have a good record, as I say. I don't see any major hiccups. If there are any hiccups, we're going to solve them immediately.
And the COVID-19 National Vaccination Deployment Program will be moving to rural communities this weekend. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said the vaccination exercise will take place in Georgetown at the police station and in Chateaubelair at the Smart Hospital on Saturday from 9 a.m. and at the Caliacor playing field on Sunday from the same time. SVG's vaccination program was recently intensified with the arrival of 40,000 doses of AstraZeneca, a gift from the government and people of India. The plan is to vaccinate at least 70% of the country's population in order to achieve community immunity. As one of the main strategies to achieve this goal, the Ministry of Health is taking the vaccines to the people in the various communities throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The government will be providing support to displaced families in the event of an evacuation from the La Soufrière volcano. So says Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves while speaking at a virtual meeting for North Leeward residents on Tuesday, where he was asked if any form of assistance would be given to people who evacuate to places other than identified shelters.
Well, I take it that you would be evacuating to maybe another friend or family, and we will seek to provide assistance both to those who we evacuate into, whether it's a guest house, whether it's the the schools or any other public facilities, as well as evacuating into other individuals' homes. Experience teaches experience taught us last time, and also in other countries in recent times, take Dominica. When you move into a home, clearly you have to provide food and other supports for those who are moving in. You're not going to expect the family which is hosting you to bear the cost of all the persons who are coming into the home.
The Prime Minister said families who take in relatives from the danger zones may also need support, and they too will receive some form of assistance.
In fact, so we'll have to assist, but experience also teaches that the host family, in the circumstances themselves, may need assistance. Because if you have livelihoods disrupted throughout the whole country, it's going to affect the economy. We have seen how an event, we can see how a pandemic like COVID affects the economy, and we saw it at the time of the last volcanic eruption, and if that were to happen, it will affect it. So that both the family moving in, Teresa, and the host family will need assistance.
Most of the communities in North Leeward are classified as being in the orange zone, and Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Michelle Forbes, said residents of these communities will be among the first to be evacuated, along with those in the red zone.
The persons in the red zones are the one who really should evacuate immediately. Also, as I indicated, in this particular case, it's Shutterbilly and Fitzhughes. Of course, depending on the situations change. So I cannot, I don't know what is going to happen with the next explosive eruption. If it gets very uncomfortable, and from the guidance that we would have, we will indicate the communities that should evacuate. But also, you have to take that upon yourself as an individual. Do I feel safe enough to stay where I am? But because we have catered for persons in the orange and the red zone to evacuate, actually. Right? So some persons in the orange zone may not be mandatory, but you have to also gauge your situation. Do I feel comfortable enough to stay here? And it can be very comfortable as as the eruptions, explosive eruptions ongoing.
Hazard maps for every community in the danger zones have been completed, and according to Forbes, assembly points and shelters have been identified for most communities in North Leeward.
To come to an agreement, and they have finalized those agreements. So we now have the list of guest houses and hotels will be willing to work with us in terms of sheltering evacuees. And many persons are asking where they are going, and we are still doing work in the community. We go into the community a couple of times a week and say to people what is happening, and really identify the areas that you will be going generally. And these are just a few of the areas that you will be going in terms of the community. If you're from Rosebank, you're generally going to the Clare Valley or Willen Hill area, Rose Hall, Vermont, Shutterbilly to Barley, and Chumaka to Petershope. This is just a few because I don't have all the communities.
Forbes said that this week, emergency kits from the Seismic Research Center have been distributed.
Kits that we have prepared for communities in times of emergencies, and these are the communities in the red zone and orange zone in particular. So these are some of the items that the communities have to support themselves in times of emergency, not just volcanic emergency. And some of these were distributed from the Seismic Research Center team this week under the Volcano Ready Community Project. And these are some of the community members who have really been trained in how to manage emergencies, work in the community, mobilize the community, and they will be the ones who are supporting the community in times of emergency. So you can see they have their own individual kit, along with some communities have a community kit. So we have the Shutterbilly Fitzhughes team, Peter Bedell team.
And in an update provided today, NEMO said drone surveys and aerial photographs of the volcano were done at the volcano yesterday. It also noted that the new seismic station constructed at the National Parks Interpretation Center at Bamboo Range on the eastern side of the volcano is operational, with the streaming of data into the Seismic Research Center, SRC, which began on March 1st. NEMO said a new continuous global positioning system GPS monitoring station was installed at the monument recently constructed in Fancy, and work continued at the Belmont Observatory on the installation of the seismic data acquisition system, while additional measurements of carbon dioxide in the soil along the lower sides of the volcano have been completed. NEMO said 3 members of the Seismic Research Center team returned to Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, March 1st. The organization is reminding the public that no evacuation order or notice has been issued and continues to appeal to persons to desist from visiting the volcano, especially going into the crater, since doing so is extremely dangerous. President of the Public Service Union, the PSU, Elroy Boucher, has made an appeal to the government to defer the 1% increase on the customs charge, which was announced as the lone fiscal measure in the 2021 budget by Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez. At a news conference on Wednesday, Boucher said considering that collectively CARICOM imports 90% of its food from the USA, and with increases in oil prices, building materials and the likes, the 1% increase on the customs charge would exasperate the prices of imported goods in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Boucher said while the government's intentions may be well-meaning, the increase will add to economic pressure facing Vincentians.
Consumers, the population, the poor, the not so poor, are facing a double whammy. An increase in the price of goods from countries where they are sourced and an increase in customs service charge. While the reason put forward by the government for the 1% increase may be well-meaning, and I believe it is well-meaning, it must be noted that the implementation of the same will ultimately translate into a further increase in the price of imported consumer goods. Undoubtedly, government will generate more revenue from the increase in customs service charge. Furthermore, the value-added tax, the VAT, will also increase in the short and medium term because the compounded price and the value of goods purchased by consumers at retail outlets will be higher, and that is quite logical.
Boucher says the union is therefore of the view that the government should wait until both the global and local economies stabilize before the increase is implemented.
The ordinary man was spending $100 at the supermarket at the end of the month or whenever. That increase, if it goes up to $150, you'll be paying VAT on $150 versus paying VAT on $100. That is, you'll be paying an increased VAT in addition to the increased cost of the food itself. So the Vincentian public, and I said the poor and others, will be paying twice given this 1% increase. While it may sound like a small increase, the impact will not be small. And we are of the view that given the extenuating circumstances, it may be imperative for the government to refrain from increasing the customs service charge until the wall is out of.
In his budget presentation, Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez said earnings from the increase in customs charge would be used to service regional institutions such as the Pan American Health Organization, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority, and the UWI Seismic Research Center. Minister Gonzalez says SVG's response to the coronavirus pandemic and the threat of laissez-faire would have been impossible without the support and technical expertise of these regional organizations, which constitute an extension of the government's local functions and are inextricable from the work of the state. Recent tests have shown that the majority of rivers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are highly polluted with bacteria, chemicals, and garbage. With this revelation, the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority said more action needs to be taken to resolve these issues. Park Ranger Sternly Walker said the authority has been monitoring and testing river mouths across SVG and collecting samples for testing, which he noted resulted in bad news.
The river is highly polluted. Yes, highly polluted. And this is bad news. It is bad news for all of us, because we know that we use the river a lot for a host of recreational activities. We use the river for washing. The river is being used a lot here for us. It is very important. And so the bad news we have found in testing water at the rivers is that it is highly polluted. It has bacteria, it has chemical pollution, and this should really cause us to go into action.
Walker said that that water is a very important source of living, and with the amount of pollution found in the rivers, they can cause much harm to humans.
Air infection. Think about an air infection. Think about skin rashes that we can have. And if such water is ingested, if it gets inside of us, it can cause a number of internal health issues. Feeling bad, vomiting, maybe hospitalizing, and even death. And we see, to have polluted water, it is bad news for us.
The park ranger further highlighted ways in which rivers are being polluted.
Human waste. Think about animal waste. And a number of farmers, they would tie their animals around the river, especially during the dry period. Now we understand that your animals, they need water. We understand that. Encouraging you, do not tie your animal where it can get into the water. Because whenever that animal defecates into the water, that's bad news. We can think of household waste. And it's a shame to say that, many of us have not yet learned how to manage our waste. Knowing that solid waste has such a good system in doing a weekly collection, but yet we are failing in managing our household waste.
Walker is appealing to persons to stop throwing waste into the rivers, noting that if found doing so, one can be charged with an offense.
Do not end up anywhere. No, our waste end up somewhere. And usually where they end up? They would end up into the waterways, into the rivers, and finally into the ocean. And so we're appealing to all of us to manage our waste. Right here, even right where I am, as I said, this beach is littered. And let me just demonstrate something for you. Here I'm seeing a bottle. And this was washed down by the river. Let me catch some water. Now, this water, to me, it is drinkable. It is clear. But we need to understand, if we want to know the quality of a water, how clean it is, we should not use our eyes.
Police are investigating a report of theft made by a 21-year-old field officer of Sandy Bay against an unknown or unknown persons. The police say, according to reports, the unknown perpetrator or perpetrators allegedly stole 2 boar pigs and 2 sow pigs valued at $1,700 EC, the property of the virtual complainant. The animals are black in color with spots of white. They were reportedly stolen in Sandy Bay between February 24th and March 2nd. Persons with information that can assist with this investigation are asked to contact the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crimes at 456-1339 or the officer in charge of the Eastern Division at 458-6229 or any police station or police officer you're comfortable with. All information will be treated confidentially. Telecommunications company Digicel, SVG, will be celebrating 18 years in the Vincentian market on March 24th. With its introduction to the telecommunications market in SVG in 2003, the company shattered the previous monopoly and ended paying for incoming calls. The company's country manager, Fanta Williams, told SVG-TV News via a telephone interview today that Digicel has single-handedly changed the face of telecommunications in SVG.
So, there were many fundamental challenges at the time in the way that telecommunications was being done. And so it wasn't everybody that could access it. The first thing that we did when we came into the market was we made the devices very affordable. So, we launched with $20 and $30 devices. And then we did things that were just the right customer experience to deliver to customers, in that we made it so that they weren't paying for incoming calls. And so we made that an important marker for when we launched, as well as per second billing rather than per minute billing. So these things fundamentally changed the way telecommunications worked in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it really gave it more of a customer focus.
Williams highlighted the company's growth over the years as they have transformed into a digital provider offering a host of applications that persons can employ for enjoyment in their day-to-day lives.
Now, since then, as we continue to grow from strength to strength, for us it's been a matter of making sure that we deliver cutting-edge technology to our customers. So, we've grown from a voice-only provider into data-driven, products. So we've gone from 2G to 3G to LTE. And in doing so, at every point, we've provided the devices, the plans, and the services that really enhance that experience with the technology. And now what we see now as our real objective, and really was a pivot for us when we decided to evolve into a digital operator, was that it's more than just data. It's more than just making calls. Now people really look at their smartphones, and it's a powerful tool that allows them really to manage their lifestyle.
Williams thanked the Vincentian public for their loyalty to the company and pledged their commitment to new products that she said will further revolutionize the Vincentian landscape.